Finally, Tez.
Welcome to the TezDown. Welcome.
Finally, Tez.
Mic check 1 2. Welcome. Welcome to the TezDown. Party time.
Finally, Tez. Finally, Tez.
Welcome to the TezDown. Welcome.
Finally, Tez.
Mic check 1 2. Welcome. Welcome to the TezDown. Party time. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, research, education, and parody. Under this act, fair use is permitted use of copyrighted content that might otherwise infringe on the exclusive rights of copyright holders. The TezDown podcast is a platform for entertainment and education. Edutainment, a blend of education and entertainment, emphasizes content that informs while it entertains. The views expressed in this channel's commentary do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of the hosts, and may not always reflect complete or verified accuracy of information presented. All content, including commentary, analysis, and discussion, falls within the legal parameters of fair use. We make no claims to ownership of any third-party content. This is the TezDown. Sports unscripted, culture unfiltered. Thank you for understanding.
You don't want zero problems, big fella.
Are you making another beat, Daddy?
What up, nephew?
And Genius is my dad.
Hey, Lay. Classic. Bass. Hard times ain't nothing at all. Really come from a struggle. Real. Move around Michael Buffer. Always ready to rumble. All that means off the muscle. Y'all can't mess with
What?
Screen bucket, that's a puzzle. Bigger key to no muzzle. Lately I'm feeling exhausted. Think I'm tired of being humble. Coach all on the duffel. Chip on my shoulder, you don't want to ruffle. Where I come from, everybody is cutthroat. Could have been dead, I'm just doing what I'm up for. My old homie jumped off the roof. I tried to share, but he was not so. Like, when you
Bro,
lose,
what are you
gotta
talking
pick
about,
it or
man?
choose. Pick it or choose. Inspired. Chose to win. Now one goes on the cruise. The shortest path always straight. Why you all in your own way? You scream YOLO to be goofy.
I'm gonna go.
Instead of using that to be great. You black, you should be proud. When I die blowing money with the apes, it's gonna be a ton. I'm running up the rate. My name on your tongue. I'm coming up the ranks. Consistency so persistently is the recipe. I cannot lose. My options in life is win, succeed, or win. How can I choose? I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. So damn it, I think I'ma do. Survived a lot, I could've died a lot, but I'm here, got nothing to prove. Woke up, inspired. Woke up, inspired. Woke up, inspired. Woke up, woke up. Woke up feeling inspired. Treadwheel, low pro tire. Grind like my needs are dire. I grind like I'm straight to diet. Woke up, woke up, woke up. Woke up. When I start getting awards, know that I deserve it. I ain't getting choked up. Confidence come from preparation. Fundamentals that'll separate us. I document it just so it makes sense when y'all clowns see me elevated. You the type to take the elevator. I take the stairs by the escalator. You proclaim that you work hard. I show and prove that I'm dedicated. Y'all got failure.
I show and prove that I'm dedicated. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Tez, and this is the TezDown. That was music by that man down there. That is classic, one from the classic codes. Appreciate you for the track that you gave us today. I've got some soft lighting going on today. I'm glad for the soft lighting, and I'm gonna try to get into it as quickly as I possibly can. What's up, everybody in the chat? I appreciate y'all. How you doing today? Video and audio, 5 fingers. Oh no, what's going on, Billy? How you doing? Big appreciation to you as well. Big appreciation to you. We got international scholars in the building. What's up, Roxy? How you doing? And obviously, we in here. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Let's get going today. We got some crazy stuff in the news. This is Revenge of the Millennials. And if you guys want to find out why, I think we're going to start with something a little bit spicy today. We're going to do some spice. Let's see what we got going on here today. How did you guys do on the last couple of days? I mean, we've been flooding you guys with content left and right. Y'all are spoiled. Y'all get so much stuff that we give you and continue to give you. We appreciate it. So it just gives us the motivation to keep on pushing it out because y'all keep consuming it and y'all keep watching. We like it. So first things first, Illinois had a primary for the election over yesterday. We're going to find out what happened. You know, I did a deep dive yesterday into the candidates, and we're going to see who those candidates are and who won everything right now.
Half past the hour, the 2026 primary season headed to Illinois last night. Voters selected Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton as their nominee for U.S. Senate in the Democratic primary. She managed to overcome a fundraising deficit thanks to backing from Governor J.B. Pritzker to defeat Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy and Robin Kelly for the nomination. Stratton will now face off against the Republican nominee, Don Tracy, the former state GOP chair, in November to fill the seat of retiring Senator Dick Durbin. Meanwhile, Governor Pritzker ran unopposed in his primary, seeking a third term for the state's top office. Richard? He'll face Republican nominee Darren Bailey this November in the traditionally blue state. Joe, we're always looking ahead to the midterms.
Always looking ahead to the midterms. And Mika, I sent you a couple of commercials from a candidate in Illinois' 9th. Regardless of what you think for politics, and people are attacking her on all sides. Kat, and I will not mess up her last name. It starts with an A. I'll just call her Kat A. Had some of the most interesting commercials. And there you go. And when I looked at them, I said, okay, this is a.
The Illinois primary is all wrapped up, and we've got all the details and results this morning.
We're going to start with one of the most hotly contested races to fill the seat of U.S. Senator Dick Durbin. It was a large field, but Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton edged out Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. Stratton earned 40% of the vote to Krishnamurthy's 33%. Here's what she said to her supporters last night.
I will spend every day from now until November 3rd working to earn your support. Tonight's message is clear. We're ready to take our democracy back into our own hands.
Stratton, who served as Illinois' lieutenant governor, earned Governor J.B. Pritzker's endorsement. The governor emphasized that support last night. Take a listen.
I was proud to run with her in our last 2 elections. Proud to serve alongside her for the last 7 years, and proud to endorse her U.S. Senate.
This is Governor J.B. Pritzker, and he is the governor of Illinois. As you guys are well aware, he's done multiple things for the state of Illinois. Some people don't necessarily agree with some of those things, one of those being legalizing the recreational use for cannabis and cannabis products. He also is the person that gives out all of the licenses. It goes through the governor's office for people who can and cannot sell here legally in Illinois. This is the guy that most of you will blame your problems on, especially if you don't live in the city of Chicago. But he is a major influence, and everyone that he backed won in the primaries yesterday. So that's something that you need to pay attention to very closely.
Campaign. She is an outstanding, kind, and genuine person who loves this state with all her heart.
Stratton's Democratic opponent, Raja Krishnamurthy, is dealing with a close loss this morning. Krishnamurthy currently serves in the House in the 8th District. His watch party started with an upbeat mood as supporters were confident in his front-runner status. But as the returns began to favor Stratton, that celebratory mood shifted. He conceded the race last night at his watch party in Chicago, saying this is a time for unity in the Democratic Party.
Only in this country could my story happen. And only in this country could a kid like me serve in the halls of Congress. And now we must come together as Democrats and as Americans and make sure that we return to the principles that made us a beacon of freedom and opportunity for the world.
On the other side of the ticket, Don Tracy had a convincing win to become Stratton's Republican opponent. Tracy won with 40% of the vote, with the next highest at 23 for Jeannie Evans. He's a former head of the Illinois Republican Party. In a speech to his supporters, Tracy called his upcoming opponent a career politician while promising to fight for working families.
She's just too extreme for Illinois. She's also become a career politician. Career politicians with extreme agendas have done enough damage to our country. We need leadership who will champion common sense solutions and put working families first. My top priority will be reducing the cost of living and supporting workers, small businesses, manufacturers, and farmers.
Clay County conservative Darren Bailey celebrated his birthday in a big way last night by earning the Republican nomination for Illinois governor. Bailey pulled in over 50% of votes in the primary, easily defeating challengers Ted Dabrowski, James Mendrick, and Rick Heidner. It set up a rematch of the 2022 Illinois governor's race against incumbent J.B. Pritzker. Speaking to his supporters in the Springfield area, Bailey said it's time Illinois residents have a leader who understands their needs.
We've had back-to-back billionaire governors who never had to worry about grocery prices, never wondered if they could pay their property taxes, never had to scrape together the dollars to pay the power bill before they shut off the lights. They live in a different Illinois than the rest of us.
Bailey and the head of the Illinois Republican Party vowed to work together to unify Republicans across the state in an effort to block Pritzker from winning a third term.
Well, another heated race this cycle.
Well, I mean, and that's what we got going on there. You know, as far as the voters go, you guys need to do what you think is best for you and your families, but make sure that you get educated on the people that you're voting for. That's number one. I'm not ever going to tell anybody who to vote for. I'm just going to more than likely tell you who not to vote for. And in this case, this is going to be up to you. What works better for you? If you guys are already well aware, Illinois is a mostly blue state as far as the voting goes, and the people who are in power, do with that information what you will. Just know that there are some things that they're going to do that other sides are not going to do, and vice versa. So you have to use your conviction, study the candidates. Don't just vote red or don't just vote blue. You know, be like me in this instance. I think both sides are horrible, and I'm trying to do the best that I can in between. Roxy said, hit those likes. Yeah, y'all do me a huge, tremendous favor if you guys hit the like button. That would be nice. Tactical voting is the way that Billy Kershaw has said it, and it's exactly what you need to do. You need to tactically vote. Who we got in here today? We got Rated RKO. What's up, Rated RKO? How you doing? Thanks for fire intro. Yeah, you guys did that. And then I had the music from Classics that helped out a lot too. You know, he said JB has to go. He also banned assault rifles. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That was a nationwide call for him to do something, and that's what he did. I'm not necessarily saying that I agree with it. You know, I think it does infringe on 2A a bit. Just saying. But then again, what do they need them for if the government's supposed to protect us? But in reality, the government isn't protecting us, as you guys can see from what's been happening in Minnesota and now coming back to Chicago to happen again in just about a week. So we're gonna actually stay very close to that and try to figure out what's gonna happen there. And we got to move on to the next subject, guys. The next subject of this is Israel. Israel announced the elimination of Iran's intelligence minister, Esmail Khatib. So as you guys, if you're living under Iraq, you don't know that there has been a war that has been brewing between the United States, Israel, its allies, and Iran and Iran's allies. And what's been going on here is, let's just keep it real. The United States and Israel are slowly but surely eradicating the entire government of Iran. That's just how it works. First the infrastructure, then the supreme leader, and now they're trying to get his son, who is now the supreme leader of them. And they've taken out a majority of the military personnel and leaders, and they're just going to keep on going. Don't forget about the kids that the missiles hit and whatnot, the Tomahawk missiles. How you could try to convince us that you lost a rocket, I don't know. Tristan Lewis said there is no protection across the board. I'm gonna have to agree with you, Tristan Lewis. And let's get to the story. Israel has announced that they have eliminated another one of the Iranian leaders.
אנחנו בעיצומה של ישורת ההכרעה. אחרי הסיכולים העוצמתיים של בכירי המשטר, מנהיג איראן בפועל לריג'ני וראש ארגון
And
רצח
head of the
בעם,
Basitary
הבסיס,
Network,
סולימני,
Soleimani, overnight
גם
Iran's
שר
intelligence
המודיעין האיראני
minister,
חטיב,
Khatib was also
שהיה
eliminated,
ממונה
who was
על מערך
responsible
הרצח
for the
והדיכוי
regime's
הפנימי
internal
של המשטר
repression and
באיראן,
assassination apparatus,
ועל קידום איומים
as well as
חיצוניים מול ישראל ומדינות האזור.
advancing external.
מדיניות ישראל
Israel's
ברורה
policy is
וחד
clear and
משמעית.
unequivocal.
אין לאף
No
אחד
one in
באיראן
Iran has
חסינות
immunity and everyone
וכולם
is a target.
על הכוונת. ראש הממשלה
Prime
בנימין
Minister
נתניהו
Benjamin
ואני
Netanyahu and I have
נשמח לצה"ל
authorized the IDF
לסכל כל בכיר
to
איראני
neutralize
שנסגר
any
עליו
senior
מעגל
Iranian
מודיעיני
official who has
ומבצעי
been located
ללא
both
צורך בקבלת אישור
intelligence-wise and
נוסף.
operationally without the need
נמשיך
for approval.
לסכל
We
ולצוד
continue
את
to
כולם.
all down.
גם במהלך היום הזה
Significant development is
צפויות
also
הפתעות
expected
משמעותיות
today and across
בכלל הזירות
areas, which will further
שיעלו
escalate
מדרגה את המלחמה
the war we are
שאנחנו
conducting
מנהלים
against Iran and
מול איראן
Hezbollah in
והחיזבאללה בלבנון.
Lebanon.
בנוברין מו.
So, I mean, obviously, you guys are not going to understand the rest of that, and I'm not going to make you guys sit through it. But I will tell you, what's going on here is total war. They have no doubts about what they're trying to do, and that is eliminate all of the people that are in charge of that country, and they want to take it over. And what they've been doing is every little bit of land that they gain, they move up the tank line inside of Iranian territory, and they are seizing that land piece by piece, the same way that they did to the Gaza Strip. And regardless of whether you agree or disagree with this, you got to say that this is a total war, and many people are going to die, and many people are going to get hurt. And there isn't much that we can do about it as people, except use our voting power, and that's if we choose to do so. But again, this is I don't see this as being my war. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have any religious issues with this going on my side. I'm not trying to back either side. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just reporting that, hey, you guys thought this was about to end. This is not going to end anytime soon. It's not going to end anytime soon. And sooner or later, something else is going to happen. For example, there are 2,000 Marines that were dropped off on an island near Iran. And let's just say that they have the entire Iranian military who was pissed about those kids getting, offed by that missile to take them out. So imagine what's going to happen next. I'm not going to speculate or anything like that. I'm just going to say, what happens in war, and it's never good. Rated R KO said, the U.S. got to stop playing Big Brother. It never ends well for us. No, it doesn't, because we get tricked into doing things. I say we loosely because I'm a member of the country. We get tricked into doing these things for other countries. And we listen to their intel and the things they say they did, and then it turns out bad for the United States. But more than likely, it turns out bad for the people. You see what the price of gasoline has gone up overnight. It's gone up 20 cents literally every night for the last week. We're pushing on $5 right now, and then in a week we're going to be pushing on even higher than that, because it's going to start to double. You see, the Strait of Hormuz is where everyone comes out of when they are moving that oil and product around. And if you have people that are blocking it so people can't get in or out, that means that the production of oil is going to come to a halt, as well as the international trade of that oil is going to come to a halt, which means that the gas prices are going to go up, considering that a major bulk of the world's oil is going straight through there, literally. So we've seen this before with wars. I'm sure that you guys have seen it before, and I have seen it before. We've seen it before, but we keep on supporting these things when they happen over and over again. I think it's time for somebody to step up and say, this isn't the way that we should go. Somebody needs to say, we shouldn't do this. This is not good for the American people. But they're probably not, because they stand to make lots of money. We don't stand to make lots of money. They do. And we're going to pay for it, as we always do, with our blood, our sweat, our tears, and our American work ethic. Okay, so that's just where I'm going to leave it with that. I'm not going to make you guys listen to this in a completely different language the entire time, because I don't think any of us speak that language. But let's go into some other parts. We got some more stuff that we're going through. We're going to run it down, guys.
All right, today we're going to be discussing
We are going to talk about gun rights, because there are lots of different laws that are going on. We're going to review this video together, and we're going to talk about it together. Sko said, I think America needs to go a few years without a president, man. Billy Kershaw said, there's a Brit story that Iran were up for a deal. Oh, really? Feel free to drop that story in the chat. I would love to hear about it. Let's move the thing. We're moving quick today, guys. I wanted to make sure that I got y'all something today. It is still Revenge of the Millennials. I think if we're going to talk about this a little bit, let's just go and talk about it. You see, being disenfranchised as a millennial has made things pretty difficult for just about all the people that are in the middle to lower middle class, definitely for the people that are under the poverty line. I don't know how much we have left as a group, as a collective. I don't know how much we have left. That the houses are costing too much, rent's up, the price of gas is up. It's making it harder to get up every single day and go to work. And the one thing that we haven't seen is the wages rise. So if we're not watching the wages rise and we're not trying to make sure that these things are going to work out for us, then why are we doing it? I think that it would behoove everybody to take a step back and realize that half the stuff that we don't want is going to keep on happening to us if we don't stand up for it. I got a little short video that I'm going to play really quick before we do gun laws for felons, and it's still the revenge of the millennials. There's nothing left.
You want to know why
for us
millennials are
to
so
do.
pissed off?
You know what I mean? So I'm going to play these millennials and see what these millennials are crashing out about. And you guys can go ahead and talk about it with me.
You want to know why millennials are so pissed off? It's because we were lied to. You told us if we put our head down, we did what was expected of us, we were yes men, we would be rewarded by our companies. And to be fair, I do work for a good company. I'm not trying to bash them. But we just had our end of the fiscal year town hall meeting in which I found out I got a 4% raise, and I should be happy because some people might not get any raise at all depending on their situation. Except I also got a notice today that my rent is increasing by 12%. Do you see how that doesn't add up well? 4% increase over a 12% increase, and that is just one bill. That is just rent. That is not food, gas, anything else.
Oh no, girl, you can't play that music on here. Yeah, you can't play that music on here. I'm not taking that one. As you can see, there's been so many different crises that millennials have gone through. Look at all of these. We're only at 2008. You got the housing market collapse, Trayvon Martin and BLM in 2012. 2014, a flight just disappears at Malaysian Flight 370. 2016, 45, global pandemic in 2020. And so, okay, let's go back to these a little bit. Let's go back. We got U.S. declared war on Iraq in 2003, the 9/11 bombing of the Twin Towers in 2001. 99, Columbine mass shooting. 97, Princess Diana's unreasonable death. And I mean, it just starts to get crazy after this. And we're not done yet, guys. We just started a whole another war.
Finally figured out why us millennials are so upset with inflation and the cost of housing. The obvious is that it's a struggle, but we grew up in the 1980s and 1990s, and we got to see the most flourishing middle class ever.
Yes,
Our parents were all middle class, working amazing jobs. Maybe just one parent was working. We had Christmases and Little League and vacation. And some of my friends' parents, they had like 2-3 cars, jet skis, 4-wheelers, a house on the lake. And they were making like $85,000. And I remember in my mind, just like probably all of you other millennials, we're like, man, if we can make 75 or 80 or 100 grand one day, we're going to be balling, have 3 kids, have jet skis and all these toys, invest, go on vacation. Now reality sits in. We're in our 30s. People are making 70, 80, 90, $100,000, $150,000 in some locations and going, we can barely get groceries. We can't afford a house like this. The middle class isn't diminishing. The middle class is gone. And I think that is what the shock is to the millennials, because we grew up watching the greatest middle class of all time. And now we're the age of our parents that they were in the 80s and 90s. And it's just night and day.
I mean, he brings up a very interesting point. How many of you who are watching right now have witnessed the same thing? That people had money to do these things when they were making significantly less than what most of us are making right now. We're talking about $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 less money than what we make. And we're not able to do half of what they were able to do. Now, mind you, there are some of us that are very fiscally responsible. I consider myself a very fiscally and financially responsible person. I try not to make purchases that I shouldn't be making. I budget everything I budget. And I have to make sure that everything is paid here, everything is paid there. I have money for this, I have money for this. But I also am not somebody that frivolously spends his money on novelty items. I'm not. If it's something that I want, then I'm gonna get it. But I mean, like, just because they have it does not mean that I need it. I didn't need a jet ski. I really didn't. Billy said, but I need those stories. What's up, Uncle Plug? I see you in here. But I need those stories. My addiction to novelty knows no bounds. Hey, I feel you. I feel you, Billy. There's gonna be a time when everyone stands up and says no more. The president has announced that he wants the housing market to increase as far as the price of a house so that the people who own homes and property can feel rich again in America. Well, here's the thing. If you have a total of people that don't own homes that are of home owning age, they're all renting, they're all staying with people, they have roommates, they have apartments, and they're just trying to get by. The apartments are too small. You got a 2-bedroom apartment for $3,000 a month. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And then they want us to make 3 times the amount of how much. So you want them to make $9,000 a month just to live in this apartment or this house that a foreign company has decided they were going to be able to buy all of this stuff and then charge you whatever you want with no landlords. That's the first thing, right? The first thing that makes someone feel as if they are established is if they have a home. That's the first thing. If you don't have a home in America, you probably feel like you don't have any money. You probably feel like you don't have any equity. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some people who are professional renters, and I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to do that, because at some point they have to say, my money is not making any sense. I'm not getting any equity from what I'm doing. Now, if you're a single person, no children, bachelor, playgirl, whatever you want to call it, and you live in a downtown high rise, you get the perks of living in downtown with a high rise, being able to go out, having everything at your fingertips and your disposal. You don't have to worry about safety for the most part, because most of those buildings have private entrances. I totally understand that way of life. But then there's the quieter life, the life that the majority of Americans actually live. They try to get homes in the suburbs, try to send their kids to school, try to make sure that they have a dog. They try to have, maybe 2 or 3 kids and a wife. These things become exponentially more difficult, especially with only one income. So now most of us are living on 2 incomes, with you and your significant other, your partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your husband, all of that. You start to wonder why. Why is this necessary? So if she goes on leave, and they've created laws to support their rampant capitalism, their rampant consumerism, you guys might have thought, oh, it was such a great thing that they did the maternity leave. Well, the maternity leave was because they either, one, did not have a good payment process to doing it, or to pay them out, or to make sure that they got money, or 2, so they didn't have to pay them, but they wouldn't lose their job. There's a couple different options based on which companies you have, but I believe just about every company has some form of it. But here's the thing. She shouldn't have had to worry about that job in the first place. She has a husband and she got married. Why does she have to worry about that in the first place? Or, let's just say that she's a woman and she's with a person and she has a baby. It happens. Outside of wedlock happens all the time. But stop acting like it's not normal, guys. Happens every day to lots of people. There needs to be a better system in place. That wasn't the way to do it. So they're going to tax everybody and make everything more expensive because you had to give maternity leave to expecting mothers, or mothers that had just had their children. Come on now. Sounds like y'all are compounding a problem by making it worse. Now, I'm not saying women can't work. I'm not saying they can't have jobs. What I'm saying is if you just had a baby, you're going to need time to recover. You're going to need some time to recover. And if the jobs aren't doing anything for you because they don't have the money to, or because you need the money, what if you didn't need it? This is what they've done. They pulled the chair out from under us, and we sat down anyway thinking that, oh, there's still a chair there. And in many cases, on both sides of the fence, this is why I tell you to do your research on the people that you vote for. On both sides of the fence, they have gutted us of any future. We're not even going to have 401ks. So I see some of y'all banking on having y'all 401k and y'all retirement. We're not going to have that. I don't know if you've noticed, but they've been taking from that because to pay themselves. Anytime you have 70-year-old people that are still working, 80-year-old people who are in office right now, what's that say for the next generation? You 35 years old, you can't get a job because an 80-year-old guy is in your spot. Normally they're retired. Why aren't they retired? Why isn't anybody noticing that they have diminished capacities? We just got done with a president that admitted on national television and international television to the entire world that he's been running the country at diminished capacity due to Alzheimer's. And we probably got another one in there right now that has the same problem. And if you guys haven't noticed, it's because you haven't been paying attention. I mean, what type of person just gets on the stage and announces what they're going to do? Who?
I'm going to come. Oh.
That's too much information. But yeah, let's keep going.
Millennials are becoming the new old people. Hear me out. I have to put on my glasses too here. I can't hear anything without my glasses. If my kids are calling me, I'm like, hold on. Yes, what do you need? Like, girl. The second thing is, girl, don't invite me out before 8 o'clock. I don't want to go. Even the movie, I've been wanting to go see American Fiction for like 2 weeks now, but every time I see that the movie starts at 5:40, I'm like, damn, I'm not going to be able to get out of that movie until 9. It's going to be dark outside. I can't see. Anti-glare is not here, so I cannot go. I cannot see at night. So I can't go to the movie at 5:40 because I'm going to be tired. 2, I'm not going to be able to see when I come out the movie. Everything is too loud nowadays. My daughter loves to blast music in the morning time, but when they start blasting that gibberish, the music, the drill music that they're listening to now, I'm like, girl, my ears, they're bleeding. Stop.
Proof millennials have it the hardest.
Millennials will be the first generation since the 1800s that are worse off than their parents in American history. We
Facts.
are overeducated, overworked, lonely, depressed, and poor in almost every metric across the board. First off, will be? No. Millennials are the first generation since the 1800s, okay? It's not will. We are already feeling this way, okay? I can attest to this as a millennial. I mean, I'm like in the middle, purebred millennial. I feel this in my heart and in my soul, okay? Definitely overeducated, overworked. Can be lonely sometimes. I've been depressed more times than I can count. Definitely been poor these days, and it's sad compared to other generations that were before us. Unfortunately, we're just not doing as well as they were. But we did live through a lot of unprecedented events, okay? And we were told this dream, the American dream, that is technically a scam. You're supposed to graduate from college, find a great job, find you a husband, have some kids, and have the perfect life. That's not how, and buy a house, which none of us can afford. It's just not, it's not in the cards for a lot of us. Obviously, we have gone to have all the good things and all the bad or whatever, but a lot of us, we're like this, okay? Struggling. The struggle bus is real out here.
So I figured out why millennials are so hard to manage. It's that when we have a problem, we go to our manager with a failed solution. Here's what I mean by that. If you ask a millennial to do something at work and they don't know how to do it, they will try to figure it out before asking for help. And on the surface, this seems really, really good. Because obviously, if you're being paid to do a job, you should try to figure out how to do the job before asking somebody for help. Here's where that's a problem, though. What you end up with is a worker who never asks for help 80% of the time, but the 20% of the time that they do ask for help, their question is incredibly nuanced and difficult to solve. Case in point, I'm working on my company's website, right? I am not a web designer. I don't really know HTML or CSS. I'm a business analyst, but I'm also a millennial and I understand coding somewhat. So when I go to people who can theoretically try to help me with this problem that I am having, the question I'm coming to them with is not, hey, can you help me with this thing? What I come to them with is, hey, I'm having a problem with this thing. Here are the 3 solutions I tried. Here's how I reasoned through it. These are the roadblocks that I came up across. Here's how I tried to get over those roadblocks. Here is where that failed, and now I need your help. And so unless you, the person I'm coming to, have an insane wealth of knowledge and experience, you are not going to be able to help me. And so what ends up happening is that it feels like, oh, millennials can't do anything for themselves. But that's not what's happening at all. It's that our managers aren't seeing the 80% of the time that we're just solving shit on our own rather than asking really simple questions. So the only experience that our managers have with us asking questions are the hardest, most difficult, nuanced possible questions that could exist. I don't know, this might just be a me thing. I am fully willing to accept that this is just a me thing, but I think that this is not just a me thing.
No, it's not just a you thing. I did a whole editorial on this and we talked about it here. The last job that I want is supervisor. If y'all are in agreement with me, let me know in the chat. The last job that you want to have at work is supervisor. You don't want to be the supervisor at work. If you're the supervisor, everybody hates you. You're the biggest snitch in the building. The upper management looks down on you, and then the employees realize you're not one of them. So they treat you like crap. You just go to work every day to get crapped on from above and below. Every single day, just for being the supervisor. That's why I got the nickname the Stupidvisor, is because you're getting paid the same amount, just about the same amount as all the other workers to do all this extra work that the upper management should be doing while they're on vacation. All the time. Has you guys ever noticed that the managers go on vacation way more than everybody else does? They're always on PTO. They're always on PTO. Well, I'm going to become a manager. Yeah, here's the problem. That person has been in the same position for the last 20 years, and you think you're going to supplant them just by working hard? It's not going to happen. What you need to do, in my opinion, is find an industry and tailor how you spend your money. Find any industry that's not going to cause you a whole lot of drama, and tailor it. Tailor your work life to how you feel your life is and how your spending is. If you have a spending problem, I totally can understand you going to get a job that was going to, I don't know, exacerbate that spending problem. But if you're not somebody that has a spending problem and you don't need all the designer stuff, you know, you look like a dweeb anyway. If you don't need all of that, then go try to find a way to make your money go a lot farther than what it normally does. Do you need all the name brand? Do you need all the designer? Do you need the expensive dates and the nights out at these restaurants that will cost you 3 or 4 days of working just to afford? Do you need that? Do you need the fanciest car? Or could you suffice with an 8-year-old or 5-year-old used car? These are just questions that I have. I'm not telling anybody how to live. I just have some of these questions. Because although I face the same problems that everybody else has, I'm mad about it in a financial sense and as a whole. But if we're just talking about me, I know how to manage what I have. I could literally make $100 last me an entire month if I needed to. Now, there's some bills that aren't going to get paid if I do that, but I can make it stretch is what I'm saying. It is not responsible for the employers to not pay you correctly. It's not responsible. But at the same time, it's also not responsible for you to stay in a place where you're not appreciated at, or if you're being overworked. Literally just leave. I guarantee you, if everybody left, they would have to figure something out or hold a meeting to try to bring everybody back in to pay them more money. And trust me, the money is there. They're just not giving it to you. Let's go to the comment section, see what some of these guys are going to think before we go on with this. Tristan said, he's not wrong. I was a supervisor, and that was hell. Yeah, being a supervisor sucks. International Skull said, I don't want any management positions. I'm straight. I'll be the employee. Tristan said, I get paid $600 more than the agents. See, there you go. So I'd rather be a grunt than a supervisor any day. Soft Rain said 111. Soft Rain said, put the ones in the chat, y'all. We the ones. And in England, it's called Keeping Up with the Joneses. I believe it was called that here, too, for the longest. Now it's called Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Just letting y'all know. But anyway, it's getting to be pretty much more difficult for us to do what we need to do. Skull said, facts, the money definitely there. Yes, the money is there because they wouldn't be going on vacation, getting PTO. Like, think about it. So many of us work jobs where we don't get PTO. And these people who are in management, they get this PTO and they get paid for not even being at work. So if we're at work and they're not at work and they're getting paid for it, who's doing the work to make the money? We are. That means that they could be paying us a little bit more. I'll tell you straight up, if all the jobs that I got PTO on, if they would have paid me a fair wage, I would have chosen to forego my PTO to get the fair wages, if that was possible. And then check this out. One of the jobs that I worked, I probably saved, I was around 75 hours of PTO. And they told me that I could only use 8 hours at a time. So I could only take 1 day off, even though my shift was longer than 8 hours. I could only take 1 day off and get PTO for it, but that would count as a block of time. So within a 24-hour period, I could only use 8 hours of PTO. Makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. So why isn't it the same thing to be true that in the 24-hour period, I can only work 8 hours? Some days I was working 16. Some days I was working 20. I have literally worked a 20-hour day at a 24-hour a day job. And you know what? Did anybody say, oh, you know, that's commendable? No, nobody patted me on the back. Nobody shook my hand. Nobody even cared. You know what would have happened if I would have opened my mouth and said something to anybody about it? They would have been like, it's hard for all of us out here, man. What do you want me to do? What do you expected? That's what I would have heard. That's what I would have been told. I'm not really interested in that. I'm not really interested in somebody telling me, oh, well, who cares? I'm just going to put my head down and do it. But here's the thing. As what most of us are doing now, we're just doing enough while we're there. We're not trying to stand out. We're just doing our jobs and going home. And that's what I think that is half the problem. If we're not being compensated for working, why work harder? If we're not being promoted for working, why work harder? If we're not being able to get those cushy positions that they hold until they die, why work harder? I've said it before. Retire all of them and let us move up the way we're supposed to move up. Let us have the positions that we've earned. Or we're going to do something else. Me personally, I have zero desire to move back into corporate America. None whatsoever. I have zero desire to work in an office like that system again, to have a cubicle. I have zero desire for that. I'm not knocking anybody that's doing it. I'm just saying it's not for me. Well, you might be missing out on this. You might be missing out on that. I just might be. But my peace of mind and my sanity is worth so much more than any money. You can't buy health. You can use money to influence your health, but you can't buy health. I would rather keep my health, my mental health, my peace, my sanity, my physical health by doing jobs that are going to allow me to pay my bills, but also reach a point to where I can further my real ambitions than a job that taxes me physically, mentally, and emotionally every single day and then still barely make it, because that's how things are structured. If you guys don't believe me, there are several graphs that you can look up right now that I've put on my screen in the last previous week's episodes that show the range between the wages and the housing market and affordability as well as inflation. And if you guys don't believe me, like I said, everyone's right here has Google or a phone or even, I don't know, YouTube. YouTube will show you. So, I mean, we got one more segment. It's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in some places. And we're going to give you guys it's 6:30 almost here. We're going to give you guys what everybody came for. And we're going to do this one thing real quick, real nice and easy, because we have to. It's stretch time, y'all. Let's go. Let's get a good stretch in. It's been a long day. I had a lot to do today. As you guys can see, I don't normally go on this late or this short. Let's go. Feels good again. If you thought you supposed to feel good, doesn't matter what type of day. Let's go. Let's go. Give me a big thing, y'all. Stand next to the touch. Stand very late now. Deep breath. Breathe out. That was nice. All right, guys, we got one more section. This is something that has been very near and dear to most people's hearts, and that is protecting your family. So when something happens to you, in the cases that we have been witnessing over the last couple of weeks or the couple of days, actually, where you have people who cannot defend themselves against the powers that be because the powers that be don't want them to. You ask yourself the question, what about our constitutional rights? And who is allowed to take those constitutional rights away from you? Should you be able to amend the law that already exists to take rights away from people? Me personally, I don't think so. I think that it should be a case-by-case basis. And that is why there is legislation that is being introduced that has the gun laws being changed and or amended for felons to regain their rights. And I'm not against it, not one bit. I do believe there are people who have been classified as felon who didn't deserve it, or people who need to be able to protect their families because they were nonviolent offenders. And we're going to see what's going on here. This is CRS Firearms. We're going to see what they're talking about, and we're going to see how this video goes. If they say some crazy stuff, y'all just know I'm going to turn it off because we haven't reviewed it yet. We're going to do it right now.
Felons having guns. And this comes up because there was some action going on in Florida, which we're going to touch on in this video. So be ready for that. But before we get into that, don't forget to shop at OnlyTechFans@Shopify.com. Again, permanently demonetized from YouTube, and that's how I pay my bills. And I apologize for dropping
which is
the
why
video.
I just want to make sure I
In
watch it.
1938, they decided that violent felons could be disarmed. That was the first American. Now you can wind it back farther because they did actually prohibit blacks and Indians from having guns, but that was more of a racial thing because they considered those not people. Because the Second Amendment says the right of the people, you know what it says. Anyways, the point is it describes people, right? Well, they were like, well, Indians and black people are not people, so therefore they're not covered by the Second Amendment. Therefore, we can restrict their guns away. And again, that's already when they're starting to twist things. Because remember, the Second Amendment isn't granting us permission for anything. What it's doing is putting restrictions on the government. None of the amendments really affect us. It tells the government what they can and can't do. Here's the...
And you see why they keep amending things? The Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia being necessary to security of the free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There's no specific language that tells them that they can take people's rights away. And the way that I see it is if you pay your debt to society, let's say that you caught a drug charge and you went to prison for whatever you went to prison for that drug charge, you did however much time, you came home, you should be able to have your rights back. You should. You should not permanently lose your rights for catching that type of case. You shouldn't, because that's not constitutional, at least not the Constitution that was written. Maybe the one that they amended in certain areas, but not here. There's only one reason why your government will want to disarm you, everyone. I'm gonna say that honestly. There's only one reason why your government will want to disarm you.
Laws you can operate under. Specifically, the Second Amendment, you cannot mess with guns. Shall not be infringed. These are necessary for the free state. So anyways, that happened. So technically that happened first. But we're talking about just in general on the books. Where did it start? 1938, we got violent felons. Obviously, they're going to erode it from there. Democrats got into power. They did a bunch of stuff. 1934, we're talking about the NFA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Next, it gets leveled up. In 1968, they come up with the GCA and the 922G laws. And they go from violent felons all the way back to if you have a sentence. Now, you don't have to sit this long, but if your sentence carries a maximum term longer than 1 year, you are now a prohibited person. And somehow they thought that was going to stop Oswald or something like that. I don't really understand the justification for it, but it's in power in 1968. Well, there's some constitutional issues there. You can't just do that. You can't just say somebody can't have a gun forever.
But they did.
Not have a gun forever. And that's when they came out with a 925C. That was put out in 1968. That was, so, all right, I've had a sentence for longer than 1 year. It was an OWI, or I was speeding, or I was pirating videotapes, right? That's no reason to be a prohibited person for life. Well, I have this option, which is 925C. I can go back in front, and I can apply to have my gun rights back, which is completely ass backwards. That's not how it should work. We'll talk about that more at the end of the video. Anyway, so then after 1968, all right, so we're looking at people that just sit 1 year. It goes all the way to me. Currently, now they're saying if you make a YouTube commercial or a bad YouTube video, you can be prohibited for life. So we went from violent felons all the way to distasteful YouTube videos. Huge difference. So clearly something needs to happen. And a lot of this comes to head when Trump and Mel Gibson got involved. Because now we're talking about people with power. We were under gentlemen's rules before, and basically if you were in a position of power like Trump, or you were a famous actor like Mel Gibson or something like that, they knew not to apply laws to you because always you could change the laws, because the laws are for the other people, the subjects. They're not for the people in power. Well, they screwed up, and then they went after Trump. So that pulled the lever like, all right, let's take a look at these laws because clearly they're ridiculous. You can argue about Trump's case, what did or did not happen, but the fact of the matter is he got caught in the snare now, so what's probably going to happen? What's probably going to happen is 925C will come back into effect. It got defunded in 1992.
Yes, it
Remember,
did.
we had the whole gang violence thing, rap music's coming out, people are scared shitless. What do? Well, we're not going to want these people to get their guns back because we're going to want to hit people with frivolous felonies and give them sentences for longer than 1 year and take their guns. Well, we can't do that constitutionally. So what we'll do is we'll just defund 925C. And again, that happened in 1992. That was under Bush, but every president since that has upheld that, right? I heard Trump had refunded this. When I looked on the internet and I asked the AI and the internet is both saying he absolutely did not. Now, it doesn't mean he's not going to, because I know there's a lot of talk about it.
If you guys read this right here, it says, so in short, there hasn't been a refund or mass payment of money under 925C by Trump or the IRS. What happened is the Trump DOJ has moved to resume consideration of individual 925C petitions for the relief of federal firearm disabilities, meaning individuals can apply for restoration of rights again, but it's case by case, not a broad refund. Now, here's the problem with that. Anytime that you have a case by case basis, things don't seem to work out the way that they should for the masses because there's not enough judicial power to go ahead and do it. And the reason that I say that there's not enough judicial power is because the way that we have been dealt the hand with the judicial system in this country is that it's very punitive. It's a punitive system, which means it is trying to punish you. It is not trying to give anything back to you. It is not trying to help you gain anything. It is trying to punish you. And so when you look at a situation such as this, with people trying to get their rights back for frivolous reasons or whatever, or it's been 20 years since they did anything wrong, they should have their rights back. Yes, they should, because all of them should be able to protect their families from the public and the government. That's part of 2A. Yes, it is. The Second Amendment 2A, it's what we refer to it as. And this is basically garbage legislation, in my opinion. It's garbage legislation because if it's a case-by-case basis, you can ignore it and probably will get ignored and swept under the rug because they want to continue to punish people with the government. That's how the government continues to make more money, especially the judicial systems in these towns, is by punishing people. This is why they have a ticket quota everywhere you go, is so that they can write frivolous tickets for stupid reasons, light bulbs, license plates, turn signals, all the type of stuff where nobody ever got hurt and nobody got injured, or you know, and they want to do that, or they want to cause bigger problems by saying it was probable cause because you and your friend decided to smoke a spliff while you guys were driving down the road on Lakeshore Drive or wherever else you might be on, what country ass roads you could be on.
And I could definitely see them refunding something like that. And I did hear something about like $100,000 or something that go into the program. But from what I understand right now, from the best information I can gather, currently, right now, no one can use that. It's not funded. Maybe there was money set aside. Maybe the money never.
It isn't funded. And the people that have tried to use it, have been asked about it, have basically been laughed out of court or wasted their money on filing a motion to bring it back into court.
Got there. Maybe this is a hypothetical money that hasn't happened yet. I don't really know. I was very confused about this because I'm like, oh, but Trump refunded that, right? And the AI is like, no, it did not. So then I started pulling sources and stuff, and yeah, I can't find anywhere where it says that Trump did refund that. So maybe the internet and the AI's got it wrong, but they're saying right now it's not refunded. We'll have to see how that goes. I do know that there was definitely talks about that, so we'll probably likely see that get refunded. Which brings us to, bam, today. What's going on right now? And that is the Florida case, the Christopher Morgan. So basically in Florida, dude was in Pennsylvania and he had a gun, some sort of Pennsylvania law I don't fully understand because it makes no sense. Like he didn't have the proper permits or something like that. Like what? Where in the Second Amendment does it say you can regulate guns if they don't have a proper permit? So that in itself is likely unconstitutional.
It is.
Anyways, so he gets pulled over in Florida, not committing a crime. Well, I mean, he got pulled over, so there must have been some sort of moving violation involved, I'm assuming. Don't know the facts on it. But anyways, not robbing anyone, not threatening anyone, not pulling his gun out and boom, boom, boom. Like, just pulled over. And he admitted to the officer he had a gun in the glovey, the center council. So they wind up hitting him with a felony. Well, he appeals it, obviously, because he should, that, hey, this is BS, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the state of Florida, they actually like step in and they tell the courts, like, hey, you got this wrong. Our Florida gun laws are likely unconstitutional. The law he got hit with is likely unconstitutional. We want you to give him his gun rights back. And that's pretty amazing. I haven't ever heard of a case like that before, and that's why it's making big news. Now, cases like that could have happened, but I never heard of them. This is the first time I've heard of something like that happen. So that's pretty cool. Now, let's wind back to what should probably be going on. Right now, say 925C gets refunded, and I think it's going to. It just hasn't yet. Again, I don't know the details on this. This is just what I could find. It's a case-by-case basis. It basically has to go in front of a judge, and the judge has to be like, oh, you're not a dangerous person. The problem is...
I do believe it's one of the best constitutions in the world, but here's the problem. If you're not enforcing the Constitution correctly, then it becomes garbage. It's just a paperweight at that point. If you're violating people's constitutional rights at every turn, then what does the Constitution actually worth? Who's following the law? If the government doesn't have to follow the law, then what is the Constitution worth? If the police don't have to follow the law, then who's the Constitution worth? If lawyers don't have to follow the law, then who's the Constitution worth? We just talked about this case in the former Michigan head coach case. The police and the judicial system hid evidence from the court system to try and convict somebody who wasn't guilty. This happens all the time. So we're going to continue with this part of the video, and I am going to give you guys a random story time of the day on millennial angst, or whatever this millennial person has to say, because we don't know what it's going to be as soon as this is over.
How many judges are actually going to want to re-give somebody their gun rights back? I'm assuming That is low. And that's the whole problem with this. That's why we need to wind back to the 1960s.
Again, I have never seen a judge want to give someone their rights back at all, because it is a punitive system where people are been designed to be taken from and not given to.
GC and take that off the books. Look, if you want the 38 violent felons to be in effect, I mean, that not a lot of people are going to argue with you about that. I'm a little bit of an extremist when it comes to that, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but let's go back to 1968, where they got it wrong. In 1968, the 925C law, you have to go by a case-by-case basis to get your gun rights back, and that's reversed. It should have been the judges have to go by a case-by-case basis and justify why you can't have a firearm. I mean, it's not going to create them any work. If you're going to prison or something like that, you're already going in front of a judge. So it's just one more checkbox. So we got this violent person coming through in the sentencing. The judge just adds in there, hey, this is a violent person. We are going to prohibit him for life from having a firearm. This is why. This is his crimes. This is justifiable for him to be disarmed. Instead, if this gets refunded, you're going to have to be like, please, can I have my gun rights back? And they're going to have to be like, well, sure or no. And now I have to justify why. And I should have never got to that point. That, like, for my case, I should have went in front of the judge at sentencing, and he should, well, it was a chick. The chick should have justified he's going to be disarmed because of X, Y, Z. And it would have sounded pretty ridiculous if he's going to be like, he's going to be disarmed because he made a distasteful YouTube video. Obviously, they see it as conspiracy to transfer machine guns, but conspiracy to transfer machine guns, because the lawyer would have obviously come back like, hey, this isn't a violent crime. Why should he be a prohibited person for life? And if the judge was like, yes, he should be, well, now you can appeal that and get sort of a case precedents put into place that, hey, these crimes, you can't.
Here's the problem, right? So I'm going to state the obvious thing here. At some point, as a citizen, you have to wake yourself up and say, I'm going to do what I want to do. It's simple as that. If you feel as if you need to take care of your family, then take care of your family, and no one can tell you anything else about it. No permits, no amount of paperwork is going to stop you from protecting your family the way that you see fit. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. Having it and not needing it is a lot better than needing it and not having it. And on top of that, I've already done a story about this a couple of weeks ago about a judge in Illinois has already deemed the FOID card, which is the firearms owner's identification card in Illinois that you need to have to own firearms, unconstitutional. And more of this is going to be coming because you now have a judge that is willing to stand up and say that this is not constitutional and against the Constitution. Let's hope that that judge can continue to bring back rights to the rightful Americans who deserve to have their rights in the United States, knowing that they have been unfairly judicial or extrajudicial towards us means that a lot of us, especially on the Black, African American, or brown side, in general, have rights taken from us that they should not have been taken from us. They did so, in my opinion, illegally. Is enough to know that, hey, do what you need to do because they're going to do it to you. And I'm not going to let nobody do it to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let nobody do it to me. I'm not going to let nobody do it to my family. Again, take care of your families. I'm not telling you to go get the craziest howitzers as you could, but make sure that you can protect your families. Because let me tell you, they are not going to do it for you at all. They have no problem looking at you when you were trying to defend your family and taking you away.
Want this smoke?
They have no problem doing that. What is the chat saying? Ray said, like most infringements, they must be legally challenged. I would suggest choosing a red state, as finding a non-corrupt judge is difficult. 111 into Deep said. Roxy said, it's another way that the government can make more. Exactly. That's why I keep mine on me at all times for all alleged content creation purposes. Roxy said, money with more court dates and appeals. Right. Into the Deep said, I got my CWP and I train weekly and I am ready. Ray said Illinois is probably the second most corrupt state outside of Cali. In a lot of ways, yeah. In a lot of ways, yeah. In a lot of ways, no. In a lot of ways, yeah. In a lot of ways, no. There's a lot of stuff that Illinois does do right. For example, Chicago's transportation system and public transit system is probably the best in the world, in my opinion. I haven't seen anybody do it better. Haven't seen anybody do the public transit system better in Chicago. But I know we're running short on time, guys, and I need to apologize for that because a lot of stuff has been going on today, and I will have a full show for you guys tomorrow, as well as a human experience coming this week. I know you guys are happy about that, but we got random story time of the day. It's that time, y'all. Millennial story time today. Let's bring up the millennials. I know y'all ready for it. Let's bring up the millennials today, y'all. Let's go. See what this lady's talking about.
Quick story for if you don't hear it swipe up, but I know you do. So one time, y'all remember when the landlines was like on the wall and it had the long cord that you could walk around the whole entire house and talk on the phone? That's how long the cord was. Well, we had one of them. Okay. We had a landline. It's still probably hanging up, but we had a landline that actually worked back then. And my sister was about 5 years old, which I would have been about 10, maybe 10 or 11. And I was sitting
Do you guys remember the landlines? I remember landlines.
at the bar coloring, and my mama was talking on the phone to somebody, just chatty Cathy away. And my sister,
Blah, blah,
I don't know
gay
how
sex,
she
blah,
ended
blah,
up with a
Congress.
screwdriver, because parents back then, they didn't care. They'd give you whatever to play with, because they weren't very responsible, but they want to talk about how we parent anyways. So she had a screwdriver. I don't know how in the heck or why she had one, but she had a screwdriver, and she was sitting on the floor by Mama's feet, and she was doing a screwdriver like this on the ground, on the tile floor.
Get
And
some
Mama's
help.
like, quit that. Quit for you mess my floor up. Now she's on the phone talking, to whoever she's talking to, because I don't know who it was. And she was just talking on the phone and, twiddling the cord and walking around and talking all up in the gossip. And then all of a sudden my sister goes, like that. And Mama's on the phone. She looks down. She says, oh my God, I got to let you go. She done got the screwdriver stuck right in her forehead. I swear to God, these kids. Hang up the phone. That screwdriver was literally stuck in her forehead. Like, why did she even let her play with it to begin with in the first place? I swear, parents can't talk about us. They just can't. Back in the 90s, that's why we so darn tough as millennials, because our parents, they just let us play with whatever. I mean, that is just absurd. Who does that? Did y'all let y'all's kids play with whatever? And who in the crap just lets their kids play outside in the woods until it's dark time with knives and machetes and whatnot building forts? That is not safe.
Hey, you know what? It might not be safe, but the one thing that it is that I will say this as part of my closing statements of the day. Millennials have had to endure the most out of just about any generation in modern times, in super modern times, I'll call them in super modern times. And we just keep on going. We just keep on ticking. We just keep on getting back up. We just keep on finding new ways to live longer, to eat better, to be a little bit healthier, to go to the gyms, to drink our water, to take our vitamins the way that they told us to. But we found out that even the vitamins they were trying to give us were full of chemicals. So we got better. We started went back to eating the right type of vegetables, to eating the right type of vegetation that has the vitamins and the minerals that we need to put back in our systems so we don't look as old as them when we're their ages. And I would like to say, we did drink out the water faucets. We did drink out the water hoses. We had a lot less chronic issues back then that everyone seems to have now. And I think it's all a result of rampant capitalism that they have been able to push down our throats at the age of birth. And I think that this generation is finally ready to take some of it back. So I don't know how we're going to get all of our power back. And I don't know what we're going to do. But I will tell you this. Anybody or anything that I see trying to oppress the people that are working the hardest, I'm going to have a problem with it. I'm going to have a problem with it. And if all I can do is talk about it, then I'm going to talk about it. But you bet yourself and everything that you own that if I get a chance to take care of business, I'm going to take care of business. Just like the episode that I did earlier in the month with the Black Panthers and the people who are trying to keep the streets safe, there are things that we need to be able to do so. And the way that I see it is we're being oppressed as a people in an entire country by a regime that does not care about us and does not try to do anything for us. So as the rest of these events come up and we continue to vote, and in November, when November comes around, you guys vote for who you believe in and what you believe in. And it should not just be about your pocketbooks, but it needs to be about principles. You need to vote. If you're going to vote, if you're going to use your vote and use your voice to do so, make sure it's on principles and not just money, because money comes and money goes. And the way that things are going right now, the money is going to be worthless anyway. I know it was a short episode. I do have a couple of things I got to do before we get up out of here today. I'm going to show you guys the video of what we did and the tour. And while we have more dates coming up, guys, we are working on that feverishly. I know you guys have been clamoring for more dates. This is what we did in Chicago. Can't wait till we come back.
Why you ain't say nothing? I'm only gonna do this once. You always knew I'd make it in the beginning. Why you ain't say nothing? You believed in me the whole time, for real? Yeah. I couldn't tell. You was around me from the beginning. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Seen them hard times couldn't kill me. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Stages I'm on getting bigger. Now you wanna say something. Been watching my story all winter. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't call? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't? You was around me from the beginning. Why you ain't say nothing? Why you ain't? Stages I'm on getting bigger. Now you wanna say something? Put that on my soul.
Okay, guys, it is time for chat Q&A. If you guys have a question, you guys let me know. What you guys just saw was the amalgamation that we call the Raw Society Coalition. And the Raw Society Coalition is this group right here that you guys can see and take a screenshot with. So while we're waiting for people, so chat Q&A is simple, guys. It's you guys to chat, you ask me a question, and I give you an answer. That's how it goes. If anybody's got any questions for me in the chat, I will read your answers as they come in. So go ahead, leave those answers in the comment section right now. We'll get to that. I haven't done chat Q&A in quite a while, but I have a little bit of time right now to do that. In the meantime, you guys screenshot the Raw Society Coalition page. We have the Raw Society Coalition. The members of the Raw Society Coalition that come together like Voltron are the Classic Codes, Souls of Thought, with the No Middleman podcast. The members of the No Middleman podcast, Uncle Plug TV and Conversation with Soft Rain, they all have individual channels. You can go ahead and check that out. And the TezDown. So each name you see right here are the progenitors of a channel on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to all the channels that we have on YouTube as we come together and we try to fill your day with content. I'm dropping content all day. Classics dropping content all day. Souls of Thought, Uncle Plug, and Conversation with Soft Rain should have a show tonight, I believe. And Rain has another show that's going to happen tomorrow night. And I'm really excited for Rain's call-in show that she has. I'm going to be one of the people who calls in. I'm going to see what she's talking about. But that'll be all. If we don't have a chat Q&A, I'm going to give y'all a couple more minutes for chat Q&A. We got one in there. Look, okay, so Roxy says, do you think that any of the previous felons who want to obtain a gun who have non-violent felonies should have to meet certain conditions or just have full rights as though they never committed a crime? Well, here's the problem, right? If I was to go and say that the felons that previously committed crimes and are free people and serve their debt to the society have to prove another condition, that would be me fighting against the very thing that I'm fighting for, is that all of us to have our rights. Again, it's a very hard thing to do, and the fact that they put this legislation in place in the first place made it extremely difficult for people to actually overcome it. So it's a twofold problem. How did the RSC meet and come together? What's the mission? I mean, the mission is to just get real people out there, real opinions, real conversation, a safe place for women to speak their minds and to give us the encouragement and edification that we have been trying to give to them, and actually solve real problems. And I think that a lot of channels aren't doing that. So that is the mission that I have. That's the mission that I believe that we have together. And obviously it's to make an impact in a field and in an area where just arguing all day and having beef content and those types of things are prevalent in our society. And we're a lot more than that. We are intellectuals, we are nerds, we are fun, we do have lives, we have been all over the place. We could talk about those things too. It's just that the people have to pay attention to them. Rigid Vibration said, and as far as the RSC meeting, I believe that story was reserved for Souls and Classic when they tell their story. So I'm gonna let them do that. Rigid Vibration said, do you think all men are equal and should be treated equally by women? I think that all men were created equal, but I know for a fact that we didn't stay that way. And I don't think that everybody's going to be treated equally ever. I think that we need to just give up on the mission of being treated equally, and we need to start talking about equity. I think equity is the most important thing. For example, if I went to go get a job and I don't know anybody there and I'm just applying for the job, but somebody who knows the president's son or somebody who is the president's son is probably going to get that job before me just because of referrals and, you know, the commonality there. So yeah, that's where the equity is. The equity is that, you know, they have a previous relationship that's outside of this business, and this business is going to help him go far. So yeah, he's going to get looked at a little bit farther than me. So yeah, all men are created equal. Do they stay equal? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, most of them aren't equal 5 minutes after birth. Billy Kershaw said, tainted? In which way? In which way? What are you talking about, Billy? I'm back in the chat. What's up, Classic? How you doing? Billy said, can I promote a Brit female channel? Do whatever you want, Billy. This is sports unscripted, culture unfiltered. This is the TezDown. We're not selfish over here. We have no problem sharing in subs. And hey, if you promote them over here, make sure you promote me over there. You feel me? Them Brits might like some Tez. Matter of fact, some of them already do. Some of the Brits are they like Tez. They do. Maybe not TezDown syndrome, but they do enjoy a good conversation with the Tez, and I enjoy my conversation with them as well. I think that's all we got for chat Q&A today. I think that's all we got for today. It was a short show today, y'all. You know, we hit some real hard political conversations, and we talked a little bit about millennial mania and the revenge of the millennials. You know, I do believe that as a millennial myself, that there's a lot of frustration and fed upness that we're not able to do a lot of the same things that the people who came before us, the two generations that came before us, were able to do. And we're also witnessing that in the Gen Z children of the millennials. We got a whole lot of stuff that we got to handle, guys. We need to get this stuff together. Otherwise, we're not going to have a place to give these kids. And if we don't have a place to give these kids or our kids, or even for ourselves and our animals, then we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in a mess. Let's take over these positions. If you guys believe that this place is not great, take the positions from these old guys. Relate to the people a little bit more. Do it that way. And if you can't do it that way, you know what I'm saying? Use the old method. What's the old method? Anybody know what the old method is? I'll give you a hint. Sometimes using the old method might be the only way.
Don't you worry about me. I'm a master of martial arts, and I'm also packing some serious heat.
He said, the witchy goth, the British are coming. Yeah, man, go ahead. Do that promotion. You know, if you guys are interested in the witchy goth, you guys can check her out. You know, as Billy has been so kind to place in here. And Billy, go ahead and do that thing for me too, man. I appreciate it. What dog has the most powerful bite in the world? I don't remember. I was always told that it was pit bulls. You know, I have a favorite dog, and I kind of stick to that dog. I'm good with a couple other ones, but kind of like my labs, man. I really do. I like my labs. I'm not familiar with some other dogs, but as far as biting power, not really too familiar with all that. You know, I'm not like a dog biologist or anything like that. So it's been great having you guys today. She said Cane Corso, probably not, but it's been great having you guys today. It's awesome. I am Tez. This is the TezDown. I will see you guys tomorrow for a full show. And when I see you guys tomorrow for the full show, you make sure you guys give me all the shout outs all over the internet. Please go back and watch some of the previous episodes, especially if you guys are missing a little bit more of me today. Feels good, doesn't it? Feels good to be liked. If you guys are, go back and watch them. I definitely need it. Like and subscribe if you haven't liked and subscribed. We were lacking on the likes yesterday. We had everybody in here, but that just means that the content was good. Now, I see a lot of these same answers in here. But yeah, there was a lot of people here yesterday, and y'all had a good time. I had a good time. We're gonna have a good time tomorrow too. We had a good time today. We talked about some serious stuff. Oh, and one last thing. Venezuela beat the United States in the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. I didn't have a lot of time to talk about it today, and America lost, so it wasn't really necessarily worth talking about, if you feel me, if you know what I'm saying. So I will see you guys in another 24.
I'm the Tez. I'm the Tez.
Welcome to the TezDown. Welcome.
I'm the Tez.
Mic check 1 2. Welcome. Welcome to the TezDown. Party time.